Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Common Courtesy. I'm your moderator, Sean Nicholas, aka Desires Some More. And here with me today is.
Nikki Prue. How's it
Hello.
going?
It's going well. Just a note to our audience two of our co hosts were down two co hosts today.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
dropping. I mean, they'll be back, but just this week they were dropping like flies.
Byron's dealing with some personal issues, and
Poor little Ashley. There's some throat stuff going
she's
on.
sick.
We
Stay
love
well.
you, Ashley. We hope
love
you
you.
feel better.
We love both of them, actually.
We love you too, Byron. I'm sorry.
Can't wait to have them back at the table to have some fun discussions.
I know. Next week, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. So some fun things going on. From my end, I just want to talk about. I'm in St. Pete Pride this year.
Woo!
Just gonna say it.
So excited about that.
Yeah, me
Very
too.
excited. I took the day off. I'm gonna come and see you.
Ow!
So I'm pumped.
Mm.
Is this the first time you're doing it?
Yeah.
First time you're performing?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you know what you're gonna do yet?
Yes, I'm doing a couple of songs that I'm gonna sing live and a couple of lip syncs, which I'm very nervous about, but I'm excited about.
I feel like nerves and excitement like that kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You're going to be great.
Well, I'm just nervous about it because, I studied musical theater in college, and I really didn't want to pursue it after college. But the fun thing I find about this project, about doing drag, is I can add in all this shit I learned in art school and theater school and just put it on stage and get money for it.
Absolutely. Why not? I mean, especially with the theater background.
Yeah.
Jump on the train.
That's coming up in June 22nd, and that's after my show at the Garage on the 25th. Kind of busy, a little busy, which is good.
Good for you. That's awesome.
And we have this going on. How about you, Nikki? What's going on with you?
I am trying. I mean, I have this going on, obviously, which has been great. Really enjoying doing this. Just kind of trying to start up some projects of my own, some stuff that I've had going on for a while, but moving and work and everything, you know how things get put on hold. So
but you're still getting that shit done.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. We're not ready to release.
Yeah. But soon. Coming soon.
Things in whatever coming soon. Okay, let's move on to some topics that happened earlier this week that
stuff going
kind of wanted to comment on. So first was the college scandal involving some celebrities, including Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin and her husband, his name is
Massimo, and I often butcher his last name.
Butcher it.
Yes, I can't. I don't have it pronounced in front of me, but
it's like Giannulli, who cares? Okay,
you guys get it.
We'll call him Massimo because he owns a clothing line at Target.
That's what I was surprised to see that's who he was when I found that out. I was wondering where all that Massimo came from.
Money came from. But yeah, so earlier this week, Felicity Huffman, she pleaded guilty to the charges, which is charges conspiracy to commit fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, which both charges are punishable about up to 20 years.
Yeah, I think that's the max is 20 years and whatever the fine.
So the difference between the two of them that I kind of found was kind of crazy is that Felicity Huffman, which I love her as an actress.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. You can't not. Desperate Housewives.
It's my favorite. And it's hard to see her in this light,
I know.
You know what? Right now she's acting like a desperate housewife.
She is acting like a desperate housewife. She is a desperate housewife right now.
She got to go to court trying to get her kids in school. She's like, how can I do? I could just imagine the plot right now. No wonder why they want to make a movie out of this. They want to make a Lifetime movie.
I'm sure they will. What doesn't Lifetime make a movie about? If we're being honest, let's take other people's pain. But she was apologetic. She seemed apologetic. It seemed to me in her. I mean, I'm sure in a lot of the cases, she seemed very abashed by it, and it was, you want to do the best that you can for your kids, and if you have the kind of money to do something like that. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that I would, but I think she was feeling bad because she put her daughter in a really, really bad position by doing that too.
Right, because now they're gonna look at her daughter's credentials, and because I think it was for one of her daughters who had a learning disability that I remember reading. I don't know, did you have that note as well?
Older daughter.
It's an older daughter, and I think it was.
I don't have the notes on the learning disability, but I do remember hearing something.
Yeah, that's something I heard, like, the help in. Also, by the way, I wonder, just as a mention, throwing it out, William H. Macy, who's her husband, who's the star of Shameless, he's not being charged. But he knew everything was going on, and I knew he was complicit.
Yeah, I wonder what the difference is, because I think in most of the cases I read, it was both the husband, both the spouses were being charged equally, which would make sense, because how can you know that somebody didn't know?
I don't know, because so she pleaded guilty, which I totally respect her for, and like Wendy Williams said, she's like, I'm aiding and abetting a criminal. She's like, I love Lynette Scavo. I love Lynette. She's actually my favorite. A lot of my lines that I say in real life come from her. Like, are you drunk?
Now I want to go home and watch some old Desperate Housewives. She's the best. I feel like she's one of the best personalities on the show.
She's a real person.
And I don't think I've ever heard anything really bad about her in general as a person. You know? So this was kind of. You get a kind of feel for her.
Yeah, because because people, it's not a crime that I would think that like you're going to like hurt somebody else. You're trying to help your own daughter, and in the result of it, you do end up hurting someone else. But you're not even thinking that. I don't even think she thought about that
by trying to help her.
Right. Because some other student that deserved to be there wasn't there.
That was my biggest thing. Was you're not hurting anyone until. Like in the case with Lori Loughlin, I think that was where they posed their kids as crew recruits.
Yeah.
And they weren't on a crew team. And it's like, that would be all well and good, but what about the person who has been doing crew the entirety of high school and working their ass off, and now they lose their spot because somebody else slid in who wasn't supposed to. That's what pissed me off about it.
Right.
But in our Felicity Huffman case, I feel like she pled guilty. I feel like they're probably going to take it easy on her.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
But with Lori and Massimo, like, I totally, you know what? She's not even that good of an actress. I mean, I'm not rich and famous and successful. Also, I'm not lucky as well. But she's not even that talented of an actress, but that's not the point. Just wanted to throw some shade.
Just you reap what you sow. I'm sorry.
But no, because her and her husband, a source says, they said they did nothing wrong. I had it right here. You have it right there. A source said something about, where is it?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Source close to the couple claims nothing illegal took place, that basically that they were doing what any wealthy couple would do in their position for their kids. There was something else in there.
They also there's like no bribes, like no...
Yes, they said no bribes happened. Basically, they're holding strong to the fact that while they did what they did, that it wasn't wrong.
Right.
Which is,
they didn't do anything illegal. I don't know. I don't know how they reconcile themselves with that, saying like, at no point they did anything illegal, because actually they did. You paid, it may not, no, here it is. This guy had said, the source said that how are they being punished for something that was done by other people for multiple years, and now it's a problem, and they're being punished for it. So at the end of the article.
Oh, they said, what about people who donate schools to buildings? Buildings to schools. Why are they not punished? And now they're saying, why are they becoming the poster children for this kind of thing? But it is illegal. I don't know how they can say that it's not illegal.
Right.
You lied.
Because the whole thing is how they got them is Rick Singer, his foundation, they were donating money to him, but he was then using that money to pay, like with Felicity Huffman, he paid, I think the proctor or someone to...
There was like a two-part thing. It was either the proctors assisting or just completely fudging the grades.
Yeah.
Giving them fake SAT
scores. Or falsely, like, putting them in, like, on athletic...
Yes, or like in that case,
like
saying
Lori.
that they're crew recruits. And that's... You have to be pretty good at crew, I would think, to get a scholarship. So, like, to get that kind of an in.
Right.
So that's just...
Also, I just want to point out, the question is, like, if Lori and Massimo, because if they're going to stay, saying that they're not guilty, and let me just see the article right here, because it's funny, because the woman the woman that where is it? Right? Where did I see it? Yes, the woman. Her name is Laura. I'm gonna say Laura Jank. She's a 36-year-old former assistant women's soccer coach at USC, who according to prosecutors, created fake athletic profiles for the children of wealthy parents, including Laughlin's daughter Olivia Jade. And she agreed to plead guilty. And that's from Fox6newsnow.com.
How do you plead guilty and then turn around and say you didn't do anything?
No. The girl that she helped get her daughter.
Yes. But I mean, she was involved with the same, so it just doesn't add up to me. I think they're just kind of riding on a high horse of this can't touch us.
Right, celebrity. It's like this elitism. If Trump was to talk about the elitists, this is exactly what it is.
Yes, it is.
I mean, because I think, what do you think, Nikki? Like, because if you're gonna say not guilty and they find you guilty, how long are these people gonna spend in jail? Because for this. I mean, a lot of us have worked hard to be in school, and we all know to be successful it takes blood, sweat, and tears. Mm-hmm. And I wish my parents had the money to do a lot of things, but not to get me into school. That's not under my own merits. But should they spend the full 20 years in jail, or should they serve some serious hard time in prison?
See, I feel like the biggest problem is, one, making sure that the students who may have been slighted, I think the biggest thing should be fixing anybody that was wronged. As far as them doing 20 years in prison, I mean, what's that really? I feel like, yeah, they should get a fine, maybe a little bit of jail time. I don't know what that's really gonna.
Well, here's the question I pose to you: like, what if they weren't celebrities? What if they weren't people you knew? They're just regular people, because you see a lot of regular people who. There is a celebrity who. Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Nope. Just moving the table. No big deal.
Just moving the mic. There is a wealthy businessman in New York. I can't remember his name right now, but he's also pleading guilty with Felicity Huffman, but along with Lori and Massimo, there are people who saying they're pleading not guilty. If they weren't celebrities, would you feel the same way? Like if we didn't know. If Lynette Scavo was not played by Felicity Huffman, it was someone of
right, and it was someone else. I don't know. I think I just feel like there's. Granted, it's a it's a horrible crime. It's not a good thing. It's a terrible thing. People were slighted. I'm sure people lost chances, and there was a whole mess to untangle. My whole thing is, 20 years is a long time to be in jail.
Right.
For something where you didn't take someone's life. I have a hard time.
But think about it. Okay. Also, all right. Let me put this in this way. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me let you finish.
No. I have a hard time saying, like, yes, they should definitely. I definitely think they should be punished. They should probably get some time, because it's not going to kill them. Certainly, it just seems like, I mean, them being in prison for 20 years just means that we're all paying for them to be in prison for 20 years. I just never. I think it should be reserved for the real bad stuff, if you're going to be in there for like 20
But even our justice system now, like, you have people, because I know Byron would probably brought this up.
Yeah, he would have had some definite.
We have a disproportion of people of color that have done, some lesser crimes, but like there are some women who have changed their address so their children could go to a better school. Because around here, I think that's everywhere.
You don't have like school choice, so you have to live within a certain
distance.
So
some women have done that, and they spent more than like a couple of months. They spent like years in jail because of this. So like, should Lori? The question's up in the air. Like, I know how I feel. I feel like they should get. Not the fullest extent, but like a hefty ass amount.
They should get something. Exactly. And I agree. I do agree. They definitely should get something.
But like 20 years is probably like.
It just seems extreme to me, but I don't know. But who knows? Obviously, if they did go in for that sentence, 10 to 1, they'd probably get out early anyway.
Right.
But I definitely think they should do some time for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There should be a fine in there because, like I said, they created a huge mess for a lot of people to untangle who had nothing to do with it. Like, they kind of sullied their kids' names for a while. That's going to follow them around for a while. And it was, of no choice.
And that's what Felicity Huffman really honestly said. She's like, I feel bad that my daughter has to, like, deal with this. And I kind of ruined my relationship with her. and it's gonna take a long time to like come back to something good.
Oof, yeah, I feel like that's gonna be an extra punishment all in itself. If you're a good mom, that's gonna be horrible.
Okay, just last thing on this topic though. She's scheduled to be sentenced in September, and they're thinking about giving her 4 months. Should she do the whole 4 months, or?
I think 4 months is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that ain't nothing.
That's like, think about it. I don't even remember what happened 4 months ago. So I think, like goes by so quick. That I think is even. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with them doing a couple of years.
Right.
Just because there should be consequences for an action like that.
Yeah, and honestly, for her, they can give her 4 months. Whatever, whatnot. But for her to like come forward and say like, you know what, I know what I did is wrong, but I'll take the 4 months. I think that's really great.
I think that was big of her too. I definitely respect that.
Big of her, yeah. All right, so let's skedaddle onto the next topic. So I just saw this the other day on social media and everything, and then Wendy Williams talked about it, and I wanted to put my little 2 cents in on this bitch. So you just watched the trailer for, what was the movie called again?
Loqeesha. With an O, not an A. Google will try to correct you, and Google is wrong.
So the movie's called Loqeesha, and basically the premise is it stars this white man. It's written, directed, and produced. Written, directed, and stars actor Jeremy Savelle. And basically this movie is about this white man who pretends to be a black woman in order to get a job at a radio station in order to pay to pay his his child's private school tuition. And so there's been a lot of backlash on social media that we were looking through earlier. Yes, not that page, but the other one, the one. It's been a lot of backlash because so after people have they were talking about it, because a lot of people were like, what does this one say?
The movie Loqeesha, its premise, an idiotic attempt to belittle black women, is the handiwork of not-so-passive-aggressive racist. The fact Hollywood didn't instantly burn the script and blacklist the writer says a lot. Anyone involved in this movie will be boycotted.
Well, wow. I didn't read that.
Somebody's mad. So, yeah, I guess there is a little bit of anger.
A little bit of anger. But, so, in response to all of this, just really fast before we get into what we're going to, what we think, he took a picture with Marlon Wayans because he compared his movie to the 2004 movie White Chicks, where Marlon, his brother, they dressed up as
sorority girls,
privileged white girls, and I don't know, I forgot what happened in the movie, but
they were cops and they were supposed to protect these 2 girls who were daughters or friends of wealthy. I think it was a wealthy guy. Something happened and they had to get the girls out, so they had to slide in and.
Oh, okay. So
and
they
put
took
on
the
their
place of
makeup.
them.
Yes,
Oh,
they had to
okay.
they had to be them.
Right.
So people had to interact with them and see them and.
See, now that I listen to that storyline, it's completely different to this one.
It is completely different, and plus, it was just so obviously a comedy because there's no way that you wouldn't recognize a sorority sister. was, so it was funny, but it was very different because they were all. It wasn't just radio,
right?
Whereas this is just a voice personality, essentially.
Right. Well, because it was they were the life and death situation. So in response to this, Jeremy Savelle, I'm sorry, I think this is how I say his name. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. He took a picture with Marlon Wayans, and he said he tagged it and wrote, with Marlon Wayans at Loqeesha movie, meet. Hashtag white chicks. Have a great weekend, everybody. Which in response, which I thought that was kind of dumb, but in response, Wayans, apparently he didn't tell Marlon that he was going to do this, tag him in a picture and, try to promote his movie. Well, we'll try to clap back at some of the things that he's getting out on social media. But Marlon Wayans said, he clapped back, he said, I hate when people put me in their bullshit. It's annoying as fuck. So the question is, is this movie truly offensive? I mean, we watched a little bit of the trailer ourselves.
I mean, I can't speak for the world. I feel like as a society, we're very easily offended by a lot of things, especially these days.
Right.
So, I mean, was it in the best taste to throw a movie like this out there right now? Probably not, but people do like to rile up the public with things like this. And to me, I feel like that's kind of probably a lot of what it was. Let's see how many comments we can get if we just throw this out there and see what happens.
It's an independent film. So, I mean, it's a limited release on July 12th.
I feel like it's harmless. I really do. But again, I don't, it takes a lot to offend me, especially these days, because I just don't have the patience for it. But I'm sure it's definitely offending a lot of people.
Right. I kind of agree with you. Like, I'm on the fence, like, now that we're talking about it and sitting down, like, I'm on the fence because it is a comedy and it could be funny. At the same time, I can see the other argument saying, well, you're making us, black folk look terrible. And
it is it's a straight up, like, they're trying to make a yes, and that's what I think is going to upset people. It's not just a white man goes and pretends to be a black. Okay, well, what does that entail? And then you go from there.
Well, years ago they did this movie called Soul Man in 1986, where it was a white dude pretending to be a black man. And even in those times, I just kind of find it funny that this is how someone's going to make money when, how do I say this? That it's so hard to be a black man. And most of these people, I'm sure Jeremy's not like, I don't know how do I word this? I think it's funny that this is what this person finds funny. And what I find funny is that the white man trying to be a black woman. And to me, like, being a black person, like, you're, like, on the lowest of the totem pole, like, and I'm like, why would anyone want to, like, deal with all that baggage, Like, I just think that that's the funny thing to me.
It's actually a funny point.
If you think about it, I don't know.
It is, because I don't know. I mean,
right.
and again, and I feel like this is something that's, in one form or another, it keeps being redone, like, every decade or so. And it's like,
Why, yeah. Because we just talked about Aloha, and I remember what you said, about them, what Sony said. What did they say again?
Because they said they wanted the film to capture the culture of the Hawaiian people.
Right.
And I think I was like, there aren't any Hawaiian people in the movie. I mean, you can tell me all about the culture, but why wouldn't you just put at least some of the people who actually are of that culture? But we went through all that. So I mean, I think this is just kind of, I don't really understand, for me. Like, why do they make this movie? Like, why? It seems kind of like an old movie, doesn't it? Like something that would have been made a long time ago.
Like back in like maybe like in the early 2000s or
yes. And it would have been like, I guess it's kind of a funny concept, but the only reason it's funny or going to be funny is because they're going to throw in these stereotypical mannerisms. And you know that because otherwise it would have been a different premise. Like, it's a radio show, so obviously you can tell they're going to go way over the top just in like the 2 seconds of the trailer.
Yeah.
They're going to go way over the top. So that's why it almost seems to me is kind of like are you offended? Oh, I'm going to put this movie out.
Right, like it's...
You're not offended, right? It's almost just like, not a slap in the face, but kind of like a little kid poking you in the back of the head, like on an airplane. Like, are you mad yet?
Are you mad? Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I just think it was at this time what we're dealing with, even in like, it's poor timing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be funny. Like now that I watched it again. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, I had an opinion about it. But then I watched it the second time. The second time I watched it, it could be funny.
Oh, probably one of those movies that's like ridiculous, like stupidly ridiculous and funny.
But I can see how. I honestly, when I first watched it, I was a little offended because like I do get offended myself when people mimic me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm like, that's why it's so odd. It looks like they're asking for people to be upset about it. And it's like you just said, poor timing. Like, why now?
Why now?
Make this now?
Why now? Like, especially with the Me Too movement, then you have, Trump's immigration shit going on.
It's just like throwing like
gasoline on the fire. Because right now we're gonna go back. We're going to politics after this, but it's this country's so divisive, and it just I think like because we're both reading the Mueller report, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I haven't gotten far into it yet, but I'm gonna make a dent later.
So me too, because I fell asleep last night reading it.
It's a dense read.
It's a dense read, but I urge everyone to read it because what's the problem in America with politics? Moving on from this topic, the problem with America is like people don't really, they believe what they're hearing from someone else rather than going out and reading it themselves or finding out information. And what I'm seeing in the Mueller report is I find it funny and I find it very almost ingenious, insidiously ingenious. The fact that, is that a word? I don't know.
It is. I don't think of it.
Maybe I did. Did I use it right?
I think you did.
It's very ingenious because Russia basically, what I read, because they were saying they were making all these like sites, whatever, whatnot. Russia basically used America's own ignorance and bigotry and racism against ourselves in order to influence, the next the 2016 presidential election. Like, just if you get really far into just like in the first volume, and I think the second session they're describing the Internet Research Agency, the people who carried out Russia's whatever agenda. Most of the faked groups they made was Black Lives Matter or secured borders, and it's basically stroking the fire that's already existed in America. I don't mean to laugh, but they used it against it. I want to read the whole thing, but
I do too. And like you said, I feel like everybody should. Like, you should at least. That's been my whole thing with this politics segment, is being more informed. You don't have to know everything, and you don't have to be able to spout facts, but just, I have not been informed enough, and I think it's one of the most important things that people take for granted.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all the rights that we have right now come from other people, either going through something or fighting for rights, like women's rights. We're gonna get to that later. But anyways, let's not get off. So this week we're doing politics in our political segment, and we want to meet some of the candidates on the Democratic side because there's so many of them. There's, oh my God, mayor. I don't think he's the mayor, but Bill de Blasio from I think he's either the governor or the mayor of New York. He's now running for.
Oh my gosh.
For president, and I'm like, oh my God, when I was living there, hon, the stop and frisk and subway shit, you can't run that. I mean, a lot of New Yorkers don't think he should run at all, but he's now in it, so we're not going to jump on him because
it's can't keep up.
Who do we pick this week?
Cory Booker.
And tell us a little about him.
So he's a Democrat, obviously.
Right.
He's a senator in New Jersey from 2013 to right now. He is, so his early, I have a note here that says his early campaign focus was mostly on unity and finding a commonality by addressing inequality and racial discrimination. So that was kind of his top thing that he went into, saying, I'm going to run.
Want to run on.
Yes. Also, though, I have found he is really huge on gun control. He wants to, let me see if I can find the note that I have here.
Because while you're looking, go ahead.
Oh, well, briefly, just one of the biggest things I found was, he's so serious about, he wants to do a buyback program. So essentially, he would like to be able to jail Americans for owning, and this is only on, I believe this is only on assault weapons, but on owning assault weapons if they don't hand them over in a buyback program that he's going to put into effect. So he's going to buy, God knows for how much,
right.
It all comes down to it. But yeah, right? Oh, why not? So he's just, that's not all I could find on him, but the gun thing is huge, and he's really big on preventing gun suicides, which I talked to you about earlier.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really sure if, and that's exactly what it says, was suicide, but the precautions he's talking about taking for that sounds a lot more like gun accidents. But I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I know you were going to make a point.
Oh, I'm just going to say I almost forgot what it was. I mean, it kind of makes sense that he's looking for gun control because he's from Jersey, and
yes.
they have problems with, guns being on the street and whatnot. But I mean, how do you feel about gun control?
I mean, it's a tough one because, and it's also one that I haven't, not owning a gun yet anyway. At some point I would like to, but I don't put a lot of thought into it because it hasn't been something I've had to. However, that's a whole other, I feel like that could be a whole other can of worms because, I mean, then you can go into, like, you go to gun control, most often you go right into all the shootings that we've had. And I feel like the control probably could be a little tighter on just as far as private sales and buying and stuff. There's a lot of loopholes, I think, is the problem. Right. I definitely don't think it's a bad idea to take another look and actually try to revamp it and put some things in place that will allow us all to keep our rights, but not, it's tough because you want the good people to be able to keep their rights and do, but it's the people that shouldn't have guns are the ones who are 90% of the time always going to have guns if they want them.
I don't know. I think they have to do some type of control on the issue because it's crazy how just in the past couple of years, we're hearing about all these mass shootings, and there was one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's way too easy to get them. Is the problem for people who shouldn't have them? Who
shouldn't have them? And it sounds because you said that he was he's kind of against suicide, like suicide by guns.
Yes.
And how does he feel about Medicare for all, or does he have a? Did you get that far?
Believe he is. I'm just trying to find my notes. I'm pretty sure that is on his list, isn't it? I know he's all for debt-free college.
Right. Tuition-free college.
Tuition-free college, and he wants to lower prescription costs. So I can't find anything in here for Medicare for all. I don't actually know if that was
one of his running points.
Yes, I think he wants to lower the costs, and he wants to. I think he was one of the ones in favor of breaking up to give consumers more. That goes along with the whole prescription cost thing.
Right.
A wider pool to choose from, and therefore, you can choose what you pay and not just have this one big company who's controlling everything as far as medication. But I think that was all I had on that.
Because for me, I'm not gonna lie. Because earlier this week, speaking of all the candidates, I'm just gonna throw this out. I was watching it, and they asked presidential candidate Kamala Harris how would you feel if you were on Biden's ticket, meaning it was a Biden-Harris ticket, and she responded. She goes, "I think he's really great as my vice president because we already proved they can do the job."
I saw that too. I was like, "Oh, she is sassy, and I like it."
I mean, how do you feel about that? Because just going off of Cory Booker, I would even think. Because I see what some Democrats are thinking. It's we have the very experienced politician here bringing in new blood. Mm-hmm. And I feel he can also have a Cory Booker because I really love the fact when he was, I think it was, oh my God, is it Kirsten, what's Kirsten something? She used to be the national security, the head of Homeland Security, something like that.
Something like that. I know her. I know the name. I don't remember her last name.
Can't remember it right now, but he was going at her because they were trying to figure out if Trump had said that thing about Norway. They're like, well, why can't we get more people from Norway? And he's like, well, you didn't know that most people that come from places like Norway and Sweden are predominantly white. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. I gotta look at her name. I'm talking, but I like him. I do like him running. I haven't really heard much buzz about him.
I haven't either. That's why I was glad when you mentioned him a few days ago because I needed to kind of, and I still do actually. Obviously,
We have some more to do, but I love that he was going in on her, being real and factual. It's like, how are you gonna sit here and say that you didn't know this country? This country has predominantly white
to
people.
Say something that ignorant.
So Cory Booker was yelling at the head of the U.S. Homeland Security Department. Her name was Kirsten Nielsen. I just love, like I said, I love the fact that he was calling her out on her bullshit, and that was over last January when they were trying to figure out over the whole shithole. comment with Donald Trump. Well, anyways, let's go to the next topic. All right, so it says here, because what's this state called? Alabama. It's actually one of, I think, Missouri, Georgia. Missouri's going to Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ohio. They've all signed fetal heartbeat laws, where a heartbeat in a fetus usually starts around 6 weeks. So it's basically banning abortions, not right after 6 weeks, and most women don't know they're pregnant. And Alabama's new law is actually criminalizing the doctors who perform the procedure. They can spend a minimum of 10 years in prison up to 99 years in prison. And it's a felony charge as well. So that being said, it seems to be a growing trend in the South.
Yeah.
To completely ban abortion. How do you feel about?
I think it's a scary concept. I mean, I've always been very in favor of pro-choice. It's not something anybody wants to do. It's not something a decision anybody should ever want to make or be happy about making. But things happen. And in this day and age, it's just, I don't think it's right, fair, or should be in any way a legal thing to be able to take away a woman's choice in that way. Because these people making the laws, I mean, are they going to come to her house and raise her baby and work for her and make money for her when she might not have it?
Right.
And I know the other side will say, well, she should have been prepared. Well, you can't always prepare, and birth control fails, and things happen. And now that's it. That's your choice. And I think it's completely insane that this includes cases of incest or rape. So if you were raped and you are pregnant, you now have to raise that child.
Right.
And that is
one of the biggest things in the Constitution, because they said the Constitution does not support, it's silent on it. But none of that ever came up. Right.
Yeah.
Because but when you say everyone should be equal, then it says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If not having this child makes you happy.
Yeah. It's in there, I mean, it was written that way for a reason, I feel like. I think it's a scary prospect that other states might start latching onto this.
Right.
And, I mean, I feel like it would be difficult to overturn Roe v. Wade, but if enough people get on board, who knows?
Because I think one thing that's crazy is that men are deciding women's issues.
Yeah, that's always been my biggest thing. It's like the people who will never, ever, ever have to experience that in any way. They'll never know what any of it is like from start to finish. Why do they have a say in the decision at all? And I mean, obviously because they're the people in power and somebody has to make these decisions, but it does not seem fair at all that men should be making that decision for the mass majority of women. Right.
I mean, because I don't know. For me, I mean, I'm not a woman. I will never have this situation. But for me, I feel like this is a free country. And for them taking certain rights away from women, I mean, from anybody, it's unconstitutional. And even as they're passing these bills, these laws, they mention God. And God this and God that. But like we said, I think last episode was the episode before. I think it was last.
I think it was last week, the separation.
Of church and state. Mm-hmm. So where does that play in?
That's what I'm wondering. I wonder that all the time because that's all they say. Well, God's miracle. If God gave you this miracle, what?
That's not.
You can't play it both sides. It's like they play it to the side that's going to favor whatever decision they want to make the most.
Like,
it's bullshit.
I think that's kind of crazy. I think it's kind of stupid. I want to follow this as close as possible because they are fighting it because this law I just looked up. It takes about 6 months to go into effect. They end this show out with something funny. Something funny.
We need that.
We need that a little bit.
We always need that.
So I was watching this show and they were saying, sex gets really fun, or it gets better when you.
I know where you're going.
When you use dirty words, dirty names, or whatever for each other.
Yeah.
Like,
mix it up.
What's your opinion on that? Like, does Does that make the sex better?
I mean, I feel like if it's in the moment, whatever you're feeling, go with it. You know, have you ever had someone try to force?
Say it.
Like, just somebody who tries to force, like, saying things, like, back years and years ago, I remember someone never wanting to try it again because it just gives you that, like, you feel like you're watching a bad comedian almost. But I feel like whatever goes. If you want to throw some names in there or make some stuff up.
Like, is there a name that's off limits? Because before I ask you that, well, you go and then I'll...
I don't know. Off limits. I feel like I'd know it if I heard it. But I don't know. I mean, again, it depends on where you're going in the moment.
I'm going to do it. What if someone's like this? What if someone said this? You're like, yeah, you dirty fucking slut. That wouldn't... I
mean... Yeah, today, now, yeah, that probably...
Right now.
But probably back in the day, I don't know. I mean... to be honest, that would probably upset me. And that's probably kind of where I thought you were going to go with that, is like bad in that way.
I mean, I do have a
story.
But
I mean, I need to.
But for you, would you not feel like...
I think I'd probably be... I'm all about dirty talk, but I need to really get violent with it. I feel like that would probably be taking it a little far, even for, like, youthful Nikki.
So... When I heard this, I thought, what would I say? I mean, honestly, I agree with you. Like, when you're in the moment, dude.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I can't say. I mean, granted, that was a little aggressive. But
yeah.
You're in the moment and you don't know what the hell.
I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like but one time this guy, so I was with this white dude, right? And he goes, oh my God, I can't say it online. I can't say it on air. Hold on. I'll mouse it. Well, I'll say it. He said, give me that nigga ass. But he used the hard R. He used the hard R.
You?
Yes.
Jesus.
He used the hard R. And, okay, just for me, long story short, we finished, it took me out of the moment. It took me out of the moment, dude.
Yeah, I don't have an example that good, but I've been taken out of the moment. That's why I feel like if it doesn't come naturally, just don't
say it. Don't. But it took me out of it because, like you just said, if it comes naturally, say it.
Hell yeah.
But to me, the way he said it, I feel like he said that before.
You're like, did you just say? Yeah, like that's his thing.
I'm thinking, like, where's the noose? Like the hard R, really? I just.
Where's the noose?
Really? What would you think?
That's
a little over
the top, even for like the throes of passion. That's a little bit much.
I don't know, but anyways,
shit.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today with Common Courtesy. Like I said, we are down to co-hosts Ashley and Byron, but that's okay. We missed them. They will return.
They'll be back.
But I'm Sean Nicholas, aka Desire Some More.
I'm Nikki Prue.
And we will see you guys next week.
Have fun. See you soon.
Stay safe.
Bye.